So glad you're here. Thank you for joining the healing room tonight. Come on in, get comfortable because I have a really, really good topic for you tonight. Actually, every Monday night. Every Monday night at 7 p.m., I'm here for you. My name is Marcia Williams. I'm a licensed therapist and I am a survivor and thriver of narcissistic abuse. I was in a narcissistic marriage for 30 years and I've been divorced for over 4 years, almost 5 years. This is my passion, is helping others heal. And I can honestly say that I get it. I can honestly say that I understand what this process is like. So I'm here sharing with you, answering questions with you that are brought to me in my practice, the Passage to Peace. So, as a therapist and a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, I am honored to walk with so many men and women on their healing journey from narcissistic relationships. This topic is primarily for those who are in the beginning stages of this journey. And it's also not a bad refresher if you are further along, meaning further along in your awareness and in your understanding of narcissism and narcissistic abuse. There can never be too much information because information is validation. Others might see it as social media, just an overload of the use of the term and the terminology around narcissistic abuse. But for those of us who are survivors, it is a lifeline, it's a flashlight. It helps us to validate our experience and to finally gain understanding and stop blaming ourselves, stop second guessing ourselves, putting the pieces together and say, hey, I'm not perfect, but I'm not the problem. And in a relationship with a narcissist, we are being told and conditioned to believe, even to the point of gaslighting ourselves, that we are the problem in the relationship. So no matter where you are on your healing journey, this topic is for you. What we're going to talk about tonight, I see you coming in. Come on in. It's so good to see you all. The topic tonight, for those of you who are starting your journey questioning, are they really a narcissist? You know, we hate to label, we hate to judge. And because of our personality type, we are more inclined to give the benefit of the doubt, to forgive, to rationalize, to justify their behavior. And so labeling someone is somewhat seen as taboo or judgmental. Well, not within these four walls of healing and surviving narcissistic abuse. It's actually the opposite. And I always tell my clients, it's not about labeling them. It's about identifying what we are experiencing. Because until we know that we're in a relationship with a narcissist, then we don't know what tools we need to establish safety, emotional, verbal, psychological safety. So this label, this terminology of narcissism and narcissistic abuse is for those of us who need it, who need that validation. So tonight's topic is he or she, okay? Is he really a narcissist? How do you know? I also do support groups, and in my support groups, there are many newcomers who are looking for information. You know, when we start this journey, we are looking for information, trying to figure out what it is that we're going through. What are we experiencing? What's happening here? All right. So I think about myself when I started my healing journey. I was going through some old notes on my phone. And so, you know, no matter what, you can change phones, and thanks to the cloud, they never go away. I came across some of the notes that I started writing when I started to finally accept and acknowledge that something is wrong. This is not okay. I'm actually not okay in this relationship. I'm actually not okay with how I'm being treated in this relationship. What can I do about it? Of course, that's the first thing we do is, what is it about me? And that's okay because it's not all their fault. It's no one's fault. We just are who we are. But that 50-50 rule is going to pop up probably in every conversation that I have. 50% of it is about me. What is it about me? So when you ask yourself, or if you've asked yourself, are they really a narcissist? when I was going through my notes, I came across some notes that I jotted down. And listen, guys, I've been a therapist for 22 years, married to a narcissist for 30. Throughout my marriage, I was also a therapist. Did not know that I was married to a narcissist, did not have that terminology to validate or explain what I was experiencing. I didn't know Darvo. I'm now an expert in Darvo, and I'm creating courses and resources for people because understanding Darvo is the key to protecting yourself from manipulation. The note that I found was just simply of me looking up two words. And one of those words was arrogance, and the other word was deceit. That was as close that I could come to recognizing that I was being manipulated, that I could call it something. Never looked up narcissism initially. Never wondered, is this narcissistic abuse? Are they a narcissist? So thankfully today there is a flooding of information about this for people who need it. If you don't need it, that's okay. But if you do need it, then it's here for you. So that's how we usually start, is with researching, what am I experiencing? And so when I saw those two questions that I had written digitally on my phone and started my journey of researching what's happening to me, I was like, wow, this is where we all begin, where we don't know what's happening to us. We don't know why we're feeling this way. We don't know why we're so confused. And so I tell my clients, it's not about diagnosing a narcissist. It's about validating your experience. That is why the terminology means so much to us, is so necessary on this healing journey. This is information that helps you move forward in your healing journey, because the goal is to recognize that you're not the problem. So what we're going to do tonight, finally going to get into it. What we're going to do tonight is we are going to go through the 9 clinical traits of the narcissistic personality disorder. Not as a weapon for you, it's for us. It's to validate your experience. So this is a mirror. What we're doing now is using knowledge as power, not against, but for ourselves. This is to help you stop gaslighting yourself, second guessing yourself, questioning your reality. Ask yourself this question as I go through these. Did I experience this? If the answer is yes to one or more, several or more, then that's the clarity that you need, not to diagnose them, not to tell them that, see, I knew you were a narcissist. That's the last thing you want to do. You're giving them ammunition to turn things right back around on you and continue to do what they've been doing all along. Let's go. All right. And I want you to put a check mark and ask yourself questions in terms of what's been your experience, or what have you observed someone else experience. I just did an interview with my childhood best friend, and wow, it still was so enlightening that these signs were present. And others, my sister will tell you, my mother, not so much, just because she's so nice and she just likes everybody. It's okay, mom. But my sister, oh my gosh, please don't get her started. Got your pen and paper ready? Take notes. We're going to go through the 9 characteristics which will encompass the definition of a narcissistic personality disorder, for the sole purpose, I know I'm repeating myself, I feel a need, for the sole purpose of helping you to validate your experience so that you can take this information, this awareness, and move forward in your healing journey. Number 1, grandiosity, exaggerated sense of self-importance. Did they act like they were above others, even you? Were your accomplishments minimized and theirs inflated? Ask yourself these questions. And I'm going to share with you examples that I have in my experience of being married to a narcissist. Did they act like they were above others? 1000%. And being the overt narcissist that he was very loud and boisterous about it. Anything that he did, as far as he was concerned, he was the best. and he was better. He was better than anyone else, and he made sure that you knew it. Now, a covert narcissist may not be so verbal about it and expressive about it, but ask yourself, did you personally experience that in your relationship? Number 2, preoccupation with fantasies of success, power, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love. Did they talk constantly about what they could be, but rarely follow through? Did they sell you a fantasy that never came true? Ask yourself these questions about your relationship as you are trying to get clarity for yourself, not to prove to them that you are in a relationship with a narcissist. So, my very brief example of that is fantasies of ideal love. We were meant to be together. We're going to get through anything, which meant he could do anything and get away with it because we're going to be together forever. We're soulmates, no matter what. And even towards the end, he said, we don't do divorce. We're not that couple. We don't do divorce. So that is a fantasy of ideal love. His image of us being the ideal couple. And one of my good friends even said to me, I saw the two of you as the epitome of Black love. And she admired us for that. Well, that was the image that meant very much to him. Hence, we don't do divorce because you're not going to ruin my image. All right, so ask yourself these questions. What fantasy did they sell? Fantasies of success. If I can just get this off the road, or if you would just do this, we would be rich. Or, the brilliance, how smart they are. They're so much smarter than anyone else, and the power. So what preoccupation did they have with the fantasy of one of those things? Next, belief that they are special and can only be understood by other special people. Did they make you feel like an outsider in their world? If I didn't perform correctly in a certain environment, then I was affecting, again, his image of being perceived as special. He did not want to interact with anyone who did not see him as special, and he was going to be sure to position himself as such. So ask yourself, did they make you feel like an outsider? Did they name drop or reject help unless it came from, I should say, an elite source, someone special? So it could be even on a much smaller level in terms of day-to-day interaction. They will discount what you say if they don't see you as being on their level. That's what it is. If they don't see you as being on their level, then they're not going to associate with you. Next, requires excessive admiration. Talk about life of the party. Talk about needing constant validation from you of how good they look or how happy they make you or how smart they are. So ask yourself these questions. Did they drain you emotionally with their need for constant praise and reassurance? Were your needs ignored unless you were stroking their ego? And so for me, it was a constant stroking of the ego. It wasn't just me, but that was a constant need, not just from me. And he was absolutely going to position himself to get that wherever he was. Next one, sense of entitlement. Did they expect special treatment but never return the favor? Was it their way or the highway? Woo. Wow. This is what I love about narcissism and how literally, because this is out of a textbook, literally how textbook they are. Because my ex's saying, his saying was my way or the highway. Textbook. So ask yourself, did they expect special treatment? Never returned the favor. Special treatment could be they would expect you to accommodate them, but if it meant them going out of their way for you, they'll think about it. They'll have to think about it. Maybe, maybe not. And there was a lot of that in my relationship. It was, if it didn't accommodate what he wanted to do, then it likely wasn't going to happen. And he would say, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right. So hope you're asking yourself these questions. So I'm going to ask you at the end, how many did you check off? All right. Interpersonally exploitative. This is a big one. Did you feel used? Did you feel used financially, emotionally, or sexually? Did your boundaries get trampled on over and over and over? And honestly, that describes my entire marriage in a nutshell. Zero boundaries. Unless I put up a big enough fight and he just didn't feel like having that fight. But it was a fight, or it was a gift. I'll let you do this. I'll let you have this. But it was always in his control. So did you feel used financially, emotionally, or sexually? And this topic, I'm going to specifically pull out sexually, because financially, that's a common one. Emotionally, that's a common one. Guess what? Sexually is common too, but it's the least discussed. Why is that? Because that was the gist of my entire marriage. Yet sexual manipulation in a marriage is the least talked about as far as narcissistic abuse goes. The reason being is because of, number one, the shame, because I'm allowing this. Now, that's without bringing in how we've been conditioned to accept it. Shame is one, but two is because of the conditioning, because as a people pleaser that I was, as an empathetic person that I was, as someone who wants to make their spouse happy, and they tell you this is what they need in order to be happy, what are the likes of our personality type going to do? We want to please our husband. We want to please our spouse. And so if they are a sex addict, then guess what? You are their supply. I was the supply in that aspect. That carries shame, that carries embarrassment, that carries things that you don't, and not to mention the conditioning, don't tell other people our business. You don't air our dirty laundry. These are things that we're conditioned. And yes, I mean, not everybody needs to know what goes on behind your closed doors. But the point is when you feel shame for what's going on behind your closed door, then that's a red flag. That's a red flag that needs to be brought out in a safe space, therapy, support groups. And because I know that experience all too well, you always think and you're led to believe this is normal. So before I get off on that tangent, because I can, I'm going to move on to the next one, lack of empathy. This is a common one. When you cried, did they change the subject? There were many times that I would cry because we're arguing. He would fall asleep while I'm crying, and I would look over and be like, well, I wouldn't even have to look over because he's snoring. I'm like, are you asleep? I'm sitting here pouring my heart out to you. I'm crying. I am really upset and hurt. When I was vulnerable and trying to get my needs met by him, so many times he would just, I'm so glad I can laugh about this now, but it's not funny. It's really not funny. Plus, wives are expected to please their husbands. Exactly. So these are the ways in which we are expected to please our husbands, according to a narcissist. Not in a healthy relationship. Trust me, there is a difference. And that's a big part of what I talk about too. The next one is envious of others, or believes others are envious of them. Did they accuse you of jealousy while constantly comparing themselves to others? Did they celebrate when others fail? That was very common in my relationship. So ask yourself this question. Did they accuse you of jealousy while constantly comparing themselves to others? The last one, arrogant or haughty behaviors and attitudes. Did they look down on others or act superior even in failure? Did they correct or mock you in front of other people? And my obvious answer from my personal experience is yes. I have to tell you, and again, this is an overt narcissist. Not all narcissists are going to be this outwardly arrogant. Listen, even at the very end of our marriage, when I was preparing to divorce and trying to explain to him why, he would say, I was a great husband. I love me. I was a great husband. I don't know what's wrong with you, but I love me. This is a level of arrogance, a level of lack of empathy, a level of entitlement, a level of self admiration, and an inflated ego. Listen, I've already checked off everyone. How many have you checked? Check your list. I'm going to just read them to you quickly again. We have discussed the 9 criteria straight out of the DSM-5 for narcissistic personality disorder. So for someone to qualify as a narcissistic personality disorder, they would meet at least, there are 9 of these characteristics. And even 1 or 2 consistently experienced can have a deep emotional impact on you. Okay? So the 9 that we discussed are grandiosity, preoccupation with fantasies of any kind, belief that they are special and can only be understood by special people. They require excessive admiration, sense of entitlement, interpersonally exploitative, lack of empathy, and envious of others or believing others are envious of them. Lastly, arrogant or haughty behaviors and attitudes. So this checklist, I'm going to repeat this as we end, is not for you to diagnose a narcissist. I need to say that at the end in case you came in halfway through. We are not diagnosing a narcissist. We are here to validate our experience. This is a flashlight, not a label. So for those of you who shy away from labels, this is not that. This is what have you experienced? And if you can check off 1, 2, 3 or more or all, then you can confidently validate yourself and say, I am or was in a relationship with a narcissist. I experienced these narcissistic traits. We're not trying to diagnose them and call them a narcissist. We are saying, I have experienced these traits. And because I can now acknowledge that I've experienced these things on this list that come straight out of the textbook, the big book, I call it the DSM, we can now begin healing. That's why this is necessary, is so that we can begin healing. That's why it's not for them. It's for us. It's for you. So I hope that you will take this information and allow it to bring you peace so that you can know you're not the problem. And your therapeutic healing journey is about regaining your self-worth that is trampled on in a relationship with a narcissist, reclaiming your voice. Thank you. Acknowledging is strength. Absolutely. This is what this information is for. It gives you strength. It gives you power. It gives you clarity. We don't have time, but please come back next week because I'm going to talk about how each of these criteria are played out through Darbo. Darbo is the manipulation tactic that most narcissists use to condition us to not trust our own gut and our own reality and to allow them to control us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sexually, financially, and so on. So next week, I'm going to talk about how Darbo plays out in all of this in your relationship. And I'm going to give you examples. If you also go to my website, thepassagetopeace.com, you will find more information on Darbo. because I'm on a mission to expose this devastating tactic of manipulation and all of the ways in which it is inflicted upon us in a relationship with a narcissist. So thank you for being here. I'm so happy to have had this time with you tonight. Hope to see you next Monday night. Take care. Bye.